Business Hour with Oli Bocheng on OFM.
Thank you so much for joining me on the OFM Business Hour on the Sound of Your Life. Now, Nick Morgan, one of the founders of Opportunity Private Capital, is joining me today. They are an investment company based in Cape Town who present unique opportunities for private investors in the property development sector. Nick, tell us a bit about what you do and what the performance has been like over the last 5 years or so of Opportunity Private Capital.
Thanks, sure. So Opportunity is we're a 16-year-old investment company based in Cape Town, and we present secure investment opportunities for private investors, and that's people like you and I, to earn fixed returns on their capital by investing in property developments. And interesting, Oli Bocheng, for you to note, at least, it's, despite the challenges, I guess, experienced around the world, and especially in South Africa. If we look at the past 5 years, as you mentioned, our niche sector of investors have achieved returns averaging about 17% per year over that period, which is pretty consistent. So during this period, the investors who've rolled over from one investment cycle to the next in multiple developments is over 80%, which is fantastic. So our retention rate of investors is really good as well.
Really wonderful. You mentioned that you operate in a niche sector, which means the investments available for these developments are around the Cape Town area. Has this strategy been working?
Well, yeah, the strategy changed over 7 years ago to mainly focus on investment projects in the greater Cape Town area. We just felt that underlying foundations of property and the performance of the local government gave the strategy a better foundation for the business that we're in. And yes, it seems like it was a good decision, because even with the problems experienced in other parts of the country, things are pretty stable here. And I think there's certainly growing evidence to support the fact that more and more people want to move from other parts of the country, making Cape Town, the Cape Town region, I think, a very desirable investment destination. So therefore, to answer your question, absolutely, this niche sector is proving successful for the company and, of course, most importantly, investors.
Nick, what would you say makes these investments different to others? How are some of the problems that investors have always faced with investing been solved?
I think it's fair to say, and we'll see if you agree with me or not, is that two of the most common problems that investors encounter are being solved. One being the protection for their capital, and two, the increased returns on the back of that capital being protected. So, and of course, that's the age-old problem of risk versus reward. So investors in this case have early access to the development life cycle, and in layman's terms, this basically means that instead of investing right at the end, as in purchasing the final product in the development, they invest during the actual development phase where the bulk of the value is extracted, and hence enabling the good returns being achieved by them. Now, these attractive fixed returns which are offered, of course, beneficial to investors, but it doesn't mean anything if your capital is not protected. So the main advantage of this investment is capital protection. The development asset are held as security for investors' capital till they're repaid, which is a critical component here of.
Are there any investment developments currently on the go?
Yeah, there are currently 3 developments that are in full swing. All these developments are in the northern suburbs of Cape Town, which are luckily very high-performing and popular areas if we look at SA as a whole. The investors involved in the first phases of these developments are actually in the process of exiting their investments. And I must say they've done pretty well and have achieved fixed returns from 15 to 18% per annum, dependent on the amount they invested.
Nick, now for the most important question. Are there currently any new investment opportunities for investors? This is something I'm keen to hear.
Okay, so then I'm going to answer this question exactly for you. So yes, there certainly are. We've just opened up a new investment cycle for one of our projects with a minimum investment of 100,000 Rand, and the projected fixed interest rate to investors is from 14% per annum, which is pretty competitive, we think, in the current market.
Thank you so much for the information, Nick. That was Nick Morgan, one of the founders of Opportunity Private Capital. If you're interested in knowing more about this investment company, visit the website at opportunity.co.za or contact them at 021 919 9944.